Hello, this is Mike Burek, your host and producer of Krynytsia, The Well, a podcast series about topics of interest to Ukrainians around the world. Today is Thursday, April 17th, 2025. This episode is produced for The Ukrainian Weekly, a newspaper published in English for the global Ukrainian community since 1933. Our guest today is Natalia Bariatska, a doctor in geology in Ukraine and founder and CEO of the Ukrainian company SoftMine LLC. Welcome, Natalia. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, and thanks so much for joining us today. To start off with, can you tell us a little bit about your educational and professional background?
For the last 25 years, I have been a geologist. I graduated from Taras Shevchenko National University of Kiev in 2002 and then went on to obtain my PhD and doctorate degrees. I am also a member of the Australian Institute of Geoscientists. Throughout my career, I have worked for the Academy of Sciences of Ukraine and various state and private geological service companies.
Natalia, can you tell us a little bit about your own company, SoftMine LLC? Why did you establish the company and what does it do?
Before Russia's escalation of their war in Ukraine, I worked as a chief geologist for a medium-sized private geological service company. During the war, I founded my own business company, SoftMine LLC. The company provides geological services like resource estimation, 3D geological modeling, technical reports for mineral projects, and also we sell mining and geological software.
Thanks for sharing that with us. To what extent do you think the mineral wealth of Ukraine has influenced the strategy or motivations in the Russian war against Ukraine?
Ukraine is really rich in minerals. We have about 5% of the world's mineral resources in 0.4% of the world's land mass. But let's remember that Russia is also rich in minerals, and Russia is one of the top 10 countries in the world that have large mineral resources. So I don't think Russia started the war in Ukraine due to lack of minerals.
Please describe which critical minerals Ukraine has.
Firstly, critical minerals means those minerals which have great economic importance and significant supply risks for a particular region. Ukraine has a number of minerals that the USA would describe as critical. The minerals that Ukraine has that appear on the USA critical mineral list would include lithium, graphite, titanium, uranium, etc.
Natalia, you already mentioned that Ukraine is said to have 5% of the world's critical mineral resources. How reliable are these estimates? Could the actual economically recoverable reserves be significantly different from this number?
I believe that these general estimates are approximate, as they are for other regions as well. Those geological resources that can be economically extracted must be determined on a case-by-case basis, taking into account the constraints on mining, processing, legal, social, and others. This of the difference between geological resources, of which Ukraine has 5%, and economically recoverable reserves, which can be much less.
And why do you think the focus of the proposed U.S. Ukraine minerals deal should be broadened to critical minerals and not just include rare earths?
I think that Donald Trump, when he talked about rare earth metals, actually meant critical minerals. Ukraine doesn't have large explored resources of rare earth elements, but at the same time, we have a number of minerals that are critical to the US economy.
How quickly could Ukraine realistically become a key exporter of minerals like lithium or graphite? Are we looking at 5 years, 10 years? And what milestones need to be achieved first?
We currently export graphite and titanium, and we also have additional prospective areas that we have not yet begun to develop. Currently, we don't mine lithium, and for this and other new mining projects, it can usually take decades, which include the initial geological exploration. Considering that we already have a range of well-explored deposits, this will take much less time, but I would say at least 10 years before we can realistically expect to start exporting.
And with so many countries ramping up critical mineral production, who do you see as Ukraine's biggest competitors in the market or collaborators in this area?
As we can see, the biggest competitor to everyone, not just Ukraine, in this market is China, which is trying to get a monopoly not only on the mining of critical minerals, but also on their processing. In my opinion, Europe is the most reasonable partner in this area, considering primarily based on logistical factors.
Natalia, we're just about out of time, but I do have a final question for you. The development of critical minerals for export could be transformative for Ukraine's economy. How can Ukraine ensure that this quote unquote gold rush translates into sustainable development and not just exploitation?
The main way to avoid becoming just a raw material extractor and exporter would be to process the mineral resources within Ukraine itself. We should not be exporting ore or concentrate, but rather we should be exporting batteries, cars, and digital devices. With a balanced policy and cooperation with international partners, everyone will benefit.
Natalia, thank you so much for joining us today on Krynica.
Thank you.
I have been speaking with Natalia Bariatska, a doctor in geology in Ukraine and founder and CEO of the Ukrainian company SoftMine LLC. And we have been discussing the situation with critical minerals in Ukraine and the proposed deal between the U.S. and Ukraine in that area. This episode of Krynica has been produced for The Ukrainian Weekly, a newspaper published in English for the global Ukrainian community since 1933. And I'm Mike Burek, your host and producer of Krynica. Until next time, that's all for now.